They were the duo that made TV history, but behind the cameras, Barbara Feldon and Don Adams were practically strangers. Now, at 91, Agent 99 is revealing everything, secrets the industry tried to bury, the executive who wanted her gone, the phony spy she married, and the heartbreaking reason she vanished from Hollywood. From hidden addictions to stolen fortunes, this is the shocking truth behind America's most beloved spy comedy. Barbara Feldon, originally Barbara Ann Hall, was born on March 12, 1933, in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. She had a quiet suburban upbringing with her parents and older sister, Patricia. Her father worked in the paper box industry, while her mother managed the home. But even as a child, Barbara had something special, an artistic spark that set her apart. She was drawn to the world of performance, even before she knew where it would lead. In high school, she stumbled upon acting and fell in love instantly. She trained tirelessly at the prestigious Pittsburgh Playhouse, sharpening her skills. When it came time for college, she aimed high, choosing the drama program at the Carnegie Institute of Technology, now known as Carnegie Mellon University. It was one of the best acting schools in the nation. By the time she graduated in 1955, she had built a rock-solid foundation in the craft. She was more than just a student. She was deeply involved in campus life and became a proud member of the Delta Chi chapter of Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority. One thing that made Feldon unforgettable on screen, that piercing, hypnotic stare. It wasn't something she picked up in acting school. No, this was pure fate. Her nearsightedness forced her to focus in a way that gave her a naturally intense, almost mysterious gaze. What could have been an everyday inconvenience turned into her secret weapon, a signature look that made audiences and casting directors take notice. In 1957, Barbara Feldon arrived in New York City, ready to chase her dream of becoming an actress. She had the talent, she had the ambition, but like so many hopefuls before her, she struggled to land roles. To make ends meet, she took a job as a showgirl at the legendary Copacabana nightclub. She even performed in a revival of the Ziegfeld Follies. The stage experience gave her confidence, but it didn't get her any closer to stardom. Acting gigs were scarce, and she needed a break. Then, just when she least expected it, a single chance encounter changed her life forever. At a party, fate stepped in. Barbara met a successful model, Gillis McGill, who had a bold suggestion. Why not try modeling? Feldon was skeptical. To her, modeling wasn't a real career. It was just something to do on the side. But McGill wouldn't take no for an answer. With a little persuasion, Feldon finally agreed to give it a shot. She started small, working as a house model for renowned designer Pauline Treasure. But it didn't take long for the industry to take notice. With her striking height and elegant features, she was a natural. Soon, she was booking high-fashion shoots, traveling for glamorous photo sessions, and making more money than she ever had as a struggling actress. Modeling wasn't just a paycheck, it transformed her. She learned how to command attention, work with cameras, and master the art of presence. These skills would later become priceless when the world finally saw her on screen. That same year, Feldon made an unexpected leap into television, but not as an actress. Instead, she stunned the nation by winning the $64,000 question, one of the biggest game shows of the era. Her chosen subject? Shakespeare. A risky choice, considering she had only been an average student in her college drama classes. But Feldon was nothing if not determined. She locked herself away, studying for up to 14 hours a day, committing every detail to memory. When she finally stepped onto that stage, she was unstoppable. With grace, confidence, and razor-sharp knowledge, she captivated audiences and won the grand prize. But her luck ran out when she attempted to double her winnings on the $128,000 question just weeks later. Still, her brief moment of fame was enough to make headlines. Newspapers buzzed about her win, and with the prize money, she and her husband opened an art gallery in Greenwich Village. The gallery specialized in abstract expressionist art, but the business struggled. A few years later, her husband returned to advertising, and just like that, Feldon was back to square one, searching for her next big break. Then came the moment that changed everything. Feldon landed a role in a commercial for Revlon's Top Brass Hair Pomade, a men's grooming product. The concept? Simple, yet unforgettable. She lounged on a bold animal print tiger rug, locked eyes with the camera, and purred the now iconic word, tigers. It was daring, seductive, and unlike anything else on television. The ad was an instant sensation. Viewers were mesmerized, and suddenly, Feldon had a brand new persona, Tiger Girl. People couldn't stop talking about her, and just like that, she became one of the most recognizable faces in advertising. The sudden fame was a blessing and a curse. The ad made her a household name, and the paycheck was jaw-dropping. Feldon later admitted that a single commercial brought in more money than an entire season of Get Smart, but there was a downside. Hollywood now saw her as nothing more than a commercial actress. Despite landing guest spots on hit shows like Flipper, 12 O'Clock High, and The Man from UNCLE, the real roles, the starring roles, kept slipping through her fingers. Then, out of nowhere, the call that changed her life. Mel Brooks and Buck Henry, the genius minds behind Get Smart, had seen the Revlon commercial. But it wasn't just her striking looks that caught their attention. It was something more. They saw charm, wit, and a magnetic presence perfect for comedy. And just like that, Feldon was about to step into the role of a lifetime. One of the show's producers, Leonard Stern, later admitted that Feldon's performance in the Revlon ad was impossible to ignore. Sensual, captivating, and oozing star power. But not everyone saw it that way. Trouble was brewing behind the scenes. One of the show's major sponsors was furious. Why? Because she had previously endorsed a competing product. Just 2 weeks into filming, their CEO made a shocking demand: fire her. Feldon fought back. She explained that the commercial had been filmed long before she was cast, and Revlon even agreed to pull the ad from airing, but none of it mattered. The decision was out of her hands, or so it seemed. Then, in a stunning twist, NBC refused to cave. They stood by her, keeping her on the show, and their gamble paid off. A year later, Get Smart was a smash hit. The best part? That same CEO who once tried to have her fired later invited her for a photo op. She posed for the camera, flashing a victorious smile, because she knew she had won. But the battles didn't stop there. Playing Agent 99 was already groundbreaking. This was the 1960s, a time when women on TV were rarely more than side characters or damsels in distress, waiting for a man to swoop in and save them. But Agent 99? She was nothing like that. She was sharp, highly skilled, and always 3 steps ahead. Sure, Maxwell Smart, played by Don Adams, technically held the title of top agent, but let's be real. Everyone knew who was actually getting the job done. And that dynamic wasn't by accident. The show's brilliant creators, Mel Brooks and Buck Henry, carefully crafted Agent 99 to be the perfect mix of old and new. The poised, elegant woman of the 1950s blended with the rising, independent spirit of the 1960s. She wasn't just a sidekick. She was a revolution wrapped in a trench coat. At times, she let Max take the lead, not because she had to, but to spare his ego. But make no mistake, Agent 99 never needed to prove she was the smartest person in the room, because she just was. Then, there was the height problem. Feldon stood tall at 5 feet 9 inches, making her noticeably taller than Don Adams, something Hollywood hated. Male leads were supposed to be the tallest, so the show had to find ways to shrink her. She slouched, went barefoot in scenes, and sometimes Adams even stood on platforms just to even the playing field. It may have seemed like a minor issue, but it spoke volumes about the industry's discomfort with powerful women sharing the spotlight. Did it stop the show from dominating? Not a chance. Get Smart became a massive success, and Feldon owned her place in TV history. The electric chemistry between Feldon and Adams was the secret weapon that made Get Smart one of the most unforgettable comedies of its time. Max was a walking disaster, clumsy, overconfident, and hilariously clueless, while Agent 99 was his rock, always calm, sharp, and 2 steps ahead. That perfect contrast was what made the show click, and audiences couldn't get enough. But here's something shocking. Barbara Feldon once revealed that Don Adams almost never rehearsed. While most actors spent hours memorizing lines and perfecting every movement, Adams worked purely on instinct. His comedic timing was razor-sharp, able to turn even an average joke into pure gold. That crisp, fast-paced delivery? It wasn't just part of Maxwell Smart's character. Adams had modeled it after classic Hollywood star William Powell, whose rhythmic, rapid-fire speech he deeply admired. On set, Adams had absolute confidence in himself, sometimes too much. He constantly tweaked lines at the last second or played with the timing of a joke to make it land even harder. His quick wit and unpredictable delivery were perfect for Get Smart's mix of slapstick and wordplay, but not everyone found it easy to keep up. Barbara Feldon admired his talent, but she admitted it wasn't always a walk in the park. She had to stay on her toes, reacting in real time to whatever wild twist Adams threw into a scene. While some cast members and directors preferred structured, polished rehearsals, Adams thrived on spontaneity. And in the end, he was right. His comedic instincts weren't just good, they were award-winning. He dominated the Emmys, taking home 3 consecutive trophies for Get Smart, proving that his gut feeling was comedy gold. Despite their electric on-screen chemistry, Adams and Feldon were never a couple in real life. Their relationship was strictly professional, sometimes even a bit formal, especially in the early years. Adams was married for most of the show's run, and Feldon had her own life outside of Hollywood. When asked about it, she once put it simply: they were from 2 different worlds. A romance? Highly unlikely. But that didn't mean they weren't close. Over time, their professional relationship evolved into a genuine friendship, and when they reunited for Get Smart in 1989, their bond was stronger than ever. Fans may have dreamed of a real-life love story, but the truth was just as special. Their connection was built on trust, admiration, and lifelong respect. Working on Get Smart was no easy ride. With Mel Brooks and Buck Henry at the helm, the expectations were sky high. They demanded perfection. Every joke had to hit, every gag had to land just right. That relentless push for excellence made the show legendary, but it also made the work intense. Feldon respected their brilliance, even when the pressure was overwhelming. What she admired most, how they wrote Agent 99. Most 1960s female characters were afterthoughts, sidekicks or love interests waiting to be rescued. But 99? She was different. She was sharp, resourceful, and always an equal to Maxwell Smart, even when he was bumbling his way through danger. That perfect balance between chaos and competence, comedy and intelligence, was what made Get Smart stand out from every other sitcom of its time. Out of all the episodes, one stood out as Feldon's absolute favorite, The Impossible Mission. Airing in 1968, it had everything she loved about Get Smart: action, razor-sharp humor, and even a rare romantic moment between Max and 99. In one unforgettable scene, Max, usually clueless about love, tells 99 that under different circumstances, he would have liked to spend his life with her. She takes it as a proposal, adding an emotional twist to the usual comedic chaos. But that wasn't all. This episode also delivered one of the show's best parodies. Mission Impossible was dominating television at the time, and Get Smart couldn't resist putting its own ridiculous spin on it. Max received top-secret orders from a self-destructing tape recorder, just like in the spy drama. Except, in true Maxwell Smart fashion, it came with an absolutely absurd twist. Another standout moment? Max and 99 disguising themselves to escape chaos agents. Feldon had the chance to channel Charlie Chaplin, delivering a silent film-style performance that let her fully showcase her comedy chops. It was the perfect blend of slapstick and romance, and it's no surprise this episode remained her favorite decades after the show ended. Even today, Get Smart is remembered as one of television's greatest comedies. Don Adams had unmatched comedic timing. Feldon brought grace and intelligence to Agent 99, and the show's creators pushed the boundaries of what a sitcom could be. And decades later, the humor still holds up, proof that great comedy never goes out of style. When Get Smart ended in 1970, Barbara Feldon found herself facing a nightmare she never saw coming. For 5 years, she had owned the role of Agent 99, a character that made her instantly recognizable. But that very success became a trap. Hollywood refused to see her as anything else. No matter how hard she tried to break free, casting directors couldn't look past the smart, stylish spy she had played on TV. The typecasting was brutal. She barely worked for a year after the show ended. Even when she auditioned for serious roles, something strange kept happening. People laughed the moment she appeared. It didn't matter if the scene wasn't supposed to be funny. The second audiences saw her, they only saw Agent 99. But Feldon refused to give up. She kept pushing forward, landing guest spots on major hit shows like Cheers and Mad About You. On Cheers, she played Sam Malone's love interest in a Valentine's Day episode. On Mad About You, she took on the role of a former TV spy star, a character clearly inspired by her own past. These roles were fun, but they didn't change anything. They were just reminders of the box Hollywood had put her in. Back then, breaking out of television and into film wasn't as easy as it is today. Feldon felt trapped. The role that had made her famous was now holding her back. Feldon tried to break into movies, but nothing ever matched the runaway success of Get Smart. In 1967, she starred alongside Dick Van Dyke in Fitzwilly, a lighthearted comedy where she played a love interest tangled in a heist. The film did okay, but it didn't launch her career to new heights. Then, in 1975, she took a completely different kind of role, playing a cold, self-absorbed beauty pageant coordinator in Smile. The movie was sharp, clever, and well-reviewed, but once again, it didn't change the way Hollywood saw her. She continued taking roles in films like No Deposit, No Return, but the industry still refused to let her escape Agent 99's shadow. Part of the problem? Timing. Hollywood in that era revolved around male leads, leaving little room for strong female-driven roles. And while many actresses hustled their way into bigger parts, Feldon had another obstacle. She never fully committed to life in Los Angeles. Preferring the East Coast, she didn't play the Hollywood game the way some stars did, which limited her chances in film. But instead of dwelling on what she couldn't change, she focused on what she could. She carved out a new path, finding steady work in hosting and voiceovers. In the 70s and 80s, her voice became instantly recognizable in commercials for brands like Revlon. She also became a familiar presence hosting entertainment news specials and major events like the Tournament of Roses parade. Voiceover work let her stay connected with audiences, without the endless frustration of Hollywood typecasting. Over time, Feldon found herself drawn to a different kind of spotlight, one that didn't require cameras or scripts. She craved quieter, more creative pursuits, like writing. But perhaps the biggest revelation she ever shared about her career? Fame never truly felt like hers. She hadn't chased it, and when it arrived, it felt almost unnatural. She once described it as living someone else's life. To the world, she was a star, but in her own eyes, she was just Barbara. She knew the truth about fame. It could vanish as quickly as it appeared, and she refused to let it define her. That realization shaped the choices she made later in life. Instead of clawing for roles, she took a step back from Hollywood and turned her focus to something deeper. Barbara Feldon's love life was a whirlwind of passion, heartbreak, and ultimately, self-discovery. Her first marriage to Lucien Verdoux Feldon in 1958 started like something out of a movie. He had a charming European accent, a mysterious past, and stories so wild they could have been ripped straight from a spy novel. He claimed to be a pilot and even hinted at having been a real-life spy. For a young, wide-eyed actress stepping into show business, it was thrilling, but reality hit hard. Lucien had a dark side. He battled gambling addiction, infidelity, and substance abuse. His gambling habit was so extreme that he burned through much of the prize money Feldon had won on the $64,000 question, where she had brilliantly showcased her knowledge of Shakespeare. The deeper she looked, the clearer it became. Lucien was not the man he had pretended to be. The charm faded, replaced by painful disappointment. In 1967, their marriage came to an end. Despite the heartbreak, Feldon kept his last name professionally. By that time, she had already become a household name as Agent 99 on Get Smart, and changing her name could have jeopardized her rising career. But in a surprising turn of events, when Lucien passed away in 1991, Feldon did something unexpected. She spoke at his funeral. Despite everything, she chose to remember their time together as an adventure. It was a painful chapter in her life, but one that shaped her into the woman she would become. Not long after her divorce, Barbara found love again, this time with Burt Nodella, the producer of Get Smart. Their relationship lasted over a decade, from 1968 to 1979. But despite their long time together, they never married or had children. Eventually, Barbara came to a realization. They weren't meant to be life partners. Their romance ended, but their bond? That never faded. Even after they went their separate ways, they stayed close, right up until Bert's passing. This period of her life marked a major turning point. After the breakup, Barbara moved back to New York City. But instead of searching for another relationship, she embraced something completely different, solitude, but not in a way that felt lonely. This was about independence. She didn't view being single as something to be pitied. She saw it as an opportunity. Living alone gave her the freedom to grow, discover new passions, and build deep, meaningful friendships. Barbara had no regrets about never remarrying or having children. Society had long pushed the narrative that true fulfillment came from marriage and family, but she never let those expectations define her. In interviews, she spoke honestly about the joy she found in her own company, and as the years went by, she witnessed a cultural shift. The idea that a person could be truly happy on their own became more widely accepted. She found that change refreshing. Looking back, her journey wasn't just about love and loss. It was about self-discovery. She proved that happiness doesn't always come from another person. Sometimes, the most fulfilling kind of joy is the kind that comes from within. Barbara Feldon's book, Living Alone and Loving It, was so much more than just advice on solitude. It was a deeply personal journey. When her long-term relationship ended, most people would have seen it as a loss, but not Feldon. She saw it as a chance to grow. Best known as the iconic Agent 99 from Get Smart, she had spent years in the public eye. But when she suddenly found herself living alone, she had a powerful realization. Happiness doesn't have to depend on anyone else. Over time, Feldon found herself drawn to a different kind of spotlight, one that didn't require cameras or scripts. She craved quieter, more creative pursuits, like writing. But perhaps the biggest revelation she ever shared about her career? Fame never truly felt like hers. She hadn't chased it, and when it arrived, it felt almost unnatural. She once described it as living someone else's life. To the world, she was a star, but in her own eyes, she was just Barbara. She knew the truth about fame. It could vanish as quickly as it appeared, and she refused to let it define her. That realization shaped the choices she made later in life. Instead of clawing for roles, she took a step back from Hollywood and turned her focus to something deeper.